El-Rufai's son, Bashir, rejects one Nigeria calls for regional autonomy, takes veiled jab at Tinubu as Escobar. This El-Rufai speaking. Bashir El-Rufai's son of former State Governor Nasir El-Rufai, has declared that he does not subscribe to the idea of one Nigeria, insisting that regional autonomy remains the only viable solution to the country's challenges. He employed a veiled reference calling President Bola Tinubu Escobar in the text, without explicitly stating his identity. Pablo Escobar, the notorious Colombian drug lord, has become a nickname used online by some opponents of President Tinubu. The nickname is rooted in long-standing allegations from the 90s when Tinubu was linked to a drug trafficking investigation in the United States. Court records shows that Tinubu forfeited $460,000 to the U.S. government in connection with a cocaine-related case. Although he was never convicted, critics have used this forfeiture to question his integrity and draw parallels to Pablo Escobar, who was one of the most notorious drug traffickers in history. In a post shared on his X handle on Tuesday, Bashir El-Rufai expressed strong dissatisfaction with the current structure of Nigeria, stating that the persistent blame game between different regions of the country can only be addressed through regional autonomy. He said regional autonomy can easily solve the situation of blame games. It is crucial as all citizens of said region will be cognizant of who they can directly hold responsible for their woes. El-Rufai dismissed the idea of a unified national identity, calling it esoteric and unconvincing. I don't believe in this esoteric concept of one Nigeria. Escobar and I can agree on that. Very disrespectful child. He added, in what many have interpreted as a jab at President Tinubu. Meanwhile, El-Rufai's statement echoes a decade-old stance once attributed to Tinubu himself. In a This Day report dated April 13, 1997, Tinubu was quoted as saying, "I don't believe in one Nigeria." Oh, he said that in 1997. Wow. The old report suggested that President Tinubu, during his years as an opposition figure, once expressed skepticism about Nigeria's unity. Earlier, in February 2025, El-Rufai warned that President Tinubu, whom he likened to Pablo Escobar, would be making his greatest mistake if he attempted to arrest his father. He said, "I've been hearing these same rumors of arrests, detention and torture in some dungeon in the NSA's office, where Emefiele was allegedly tortured to resign as CBN governor. Since July 2024, when the so-called reports of the Kaduna Assembly began circulating. Now the biggest mistake Pablo Escobar and his henchmen will make. On July 31, 2024, Bashir El-Rufai again mocked President Tinubu as Pablo, ridiculed the First Lady Remi Tinubu, and praised Peter Obi as a potential presidential candidate for the 2027 election. You see, what I just see in all of this is that this guy, he probably knows everything because his father knows everything that is going on, because he's part of the cabals and everything relating to presidency, whatever. So he knows all of these things. That is why I can come outside and be saying all this kind of thing and like mocking them and saying all sorts of things. Calling him Pablo Escobar, saying the biggest mistake you will make is to arrest my father. That means they have some things that they can use against the president. I don't know, but that's what I feel. In this post, El-Rufai predicted that Obi would win the next election before the First Lady could finish preparing breakfast on election day. Obi, as a flag bearer with a strong northern candidate, would defeat Pablo on election day before our dear mother of the nation. This boy, his mouth, until Remi finishes his breakfast around 12 noon. El-Rufai said, "How will you be eating breakfast by 12 noon?" While praising former Vice President Atiku Abubakar as a force to be reckoned with, El-Rufai hinged his prediction of victory for the opposition on the sheer force of Obi's number and cult-like followership brings a challenge. His appeal across the youth and this younger generation is one profound aspect of his leverage, he said. This boy has bad mouth, his mouth, God. Abdulrazak says, "I don't know any Escobar, but I do know who Don Pablo is. I met him twice at Apapa Wolf. He's currently out of the Quantrisha. Which Don Pablo did you meet?" David Jerry says, isn't it unfortunate that once the name Escobar is mentioned, we all know who they are talking about exactly. Like, it's very, very unfortunate. Voila. He says, did he just imply that someone is Pablo Escobar? Yes, now. In fact, you did not even need to know that was who he's talking about. You already know that this is the person that he's talking about. Church Boy says, when the hate Nebu was on the throne, some of us said the same thing, but we tagged Will as well. Now, turn by turn, I'm telling you, come on, no dey quick, no dey take again. So if you do something for somebody now, just know that karma will knock on your door fast. Someone says, they laugh am. When they were doing, they didn't know that one day you enter another hand, but today Yorubas are doing it too. And one day, one of them too will type something like this. Moses Kalu says, I call Baba, if you add Gida, now you sabi. This is a popular line from the 90s that somehow was referred to an evil genius. At that time, people were scared to mention the full name for their own safety. The beauty of democracy is the freedom of speech. It accommodates, but the abuse of it does not guarantee freedom after speech. Steve Ray says, yeah, DSS, over to you with immediate effect. It is well. Mohammed says, let's keep the one Nigeria side. Who is Pablo? The one I know is dead. We Google is your friend though. Artist says, Escobar and I can agree on that. I know but please, who is the Escobar? We will see, Google is your friend. Someone should help you out too. Who should help you out? I don't understand. Hey, Dixon Sabo says, unfortunately, your father was once an Escobar boy. They says, Jagaban will handle them at appropriate time. How do you know it was Jagaban that he was talking about? Did he mention any name? Who is Escobar? Because I don't understand. He said, now you call Jagaban, or now you sabi that one. So J Body says, playing to the gallery, he knows where Jagaban is heading. Testimony says, playing to the card, exactly where the country is heading to. Another people says, now they can listen to records of the old. Well. Emeka Amadi said, please, who is Escobar? Is it the thief Shawore tweeted about? Someone should help me out because I'm lost. So you go lost too. Nobody will find you. If you cannot find yourself, now it's a bill. Habibullah says, sure whether Pablo Escobar will agree with him on this motion. Mott said, who is Escobar? I mean another slang. I don't know. Emi says, get people will get this country last. I'm telling you. Samuel Jonah says, this is the second time he's calling the president Escobar. Maybe by no go right time. How do you know it is the president that he is calling Escobar? Yeah, the one that said is the president. The guy never mentioned anybody's name. So now you sabi that one. Now listeners, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. See you some other time. Bye.